Hello everybody! Today I thought I would film a fall reads video. So I've done one of these seasonally over the past couple of seasons. I did a summer reads, I did a spring reads, I think I did a winter reads, or like a Christmas read, so I thought it'd be time to do a fall reads. And I've never really done a fall reads before because honestly, like, I don't know what to read in the fall. And then it hit me, of course I do, dark atmospheric books. So now, if you're looking for more spooky books and kind of thrillers and things of that nature, we'll be filming that video next month near Halloween, obviously. So this video is all about kind of those atmospheric reads that kind of give you that fall vibe. Like, a lot of people say their favorite books to read are like moody, dark, kind of gritty, like atmospheric books, and I totally see why, and I like reading those a lot too. Like usually like in spring and summer I'm all about the contemporaries and kind of lighthearted things, but when it gets to like fall and winter I want all things fantasy, all things sci-fi and dark and atmospheric, like I said 1,000 times before. So I was going to include some like school reads in this video as well, like kind of books that are like centered around the school year, but I honestly didn't have a ton to recommend, so I might do a separate video just on that. Let me know if you want that, like school reads. I don't know. Either way, these are going to be my fall recommendations, or books I think are perfect to read in fall, and I hope you guys enjoy. The first book that came to mind when I was forming this list was immediately The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is such a perfect fall read. It's ridiculous. This is set, I think it begins in the fall. It starts like kind of near Halloween. It got that whole fall autumn vibe, and it's just so fall-ish. This book is also kind of creepy as well. This book's not scary, I would say. Like, there's no point in time I was reading this and I was like, holy crap, this is terrifying. It's just got that dark, creepy vibe. If you haven't heard about the Raven Cycle, which is one of my favorite series of all time, it is all about this, it's all about these Raven boys, quintessentially, and they go to this boarding school, and one of the boys in particular named Gansey is on the hunt for this dead Welsh king, and he wants to wake the king up because he thinks he's not really dead, and if you wake this king up, you'll be granted a favor. And that's a very, very vague synopsis because there is so much more in this book going on. There's psychics, there's ley lines, there's paranormal things. It's chock full of paranormal things. So this book has a lot going on and it does it well, but as I always say with this book, if you read it, give it 100 pages because the first 100 pages are not that great. It's very like different from what you expect. It takes a lot of groundwork to form the story, so give it 100 pages and trust me, you will be thrust into the world and you will love it, but the first 100 pages are a bit rocky. But either way, this is a perfect fall read. If you take any recommendations from this video, take this one because this book is just all of the autumn vibes. On that same note is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This book is the quintessential dark, gritty book that is perfect to read for fall. In this book, we follow a cast of characters that are a bit morally gray. Some of them are gamblers, some of them do not so amazing things. They're kind of anti-heroes, if you will, and pretty much they get hired to do this heist to break into this really secure like place. It's such a great book. I'd say this is more of a character-driven book, so if you're looking for much more of a richer fantasy world, maybe check out The Raven Boys, which also has great characters. But if you want something that's more character-driven, where you really get to know in depth the characters and watch them progress, I would definitely recommend Six of Crows for that nature. Like I said, it is dark, it's gritty, it's set in this really gritty place. Oh, Kaz, and he's like the leader of these morally gray characters. But either way, this is a great series to read for fall because it's just that gritty vibe. I'm going to say these same words over and over again. I apologize. Apparently I need a thesaurus. The next book I want to recommend is very, very new. It just came out this month, and that is Feral Youth. This is a novel told in 10 points of views, and it's kind of edited by Sean David Hutchinson. So in this book, we have this group of teens that are not the best teens. They are being sent to this camp called Zeppelin Band, and it's kind of like their last-ditch effort. Like, if this camp can't really prove them right, like if this camp can't straighten them up, there's really no hope for them. So this camp really teaches them all about the wilderness and how to survive in the nature and things like that, and then they get stranded. Like, their leader leaves them in the middle of the woods and like, find your way back to camp. So basically this is about their journey back to camp, and it's not about their journey. I'd say if you're looking for like a good nature book, this is not that. It doesn't really focus on the survival aspect, which I found it kind of lacking in that regard, but it's more of they each tell a story because there's like a cash prize one of the kids has. One of them tells a story pretty much, and each chapter is a different story. I say this is a perfect fall read because there are quite a few spooky kind of stories in this book. There was definitely like fallish vibes too. Like a lot of them were taking place like in the fall and things like that. Being stuck out in the wilderness, they were kind of worried about the little bit of a cold, but it was still kind of autumn. I really enjoyed this book, and I'm not saying this is like super atmospheric because it's not really, but I still recommend it. Like I said, there was a few like spooky stories, not like so much so I can recommend in my other video, but it was definitely some that were kind of like paranormal. There was one that was about ghosts, there was one about like aliens, there was one about like other things. So this is like kind of a perfect book to read in fall in my opinion, and I just really enjoyed it. The next book I want to recommend to you is so atmospheric, and it was great in that regard. I just personally didn't love it, but I still want to recommend it because I think a ton of other people will love it, and that is Karvall by Stephanie Garber. This book gives you all of the dark carnival vibes. It was so atmospheric. It was beautifully written in that regard. Like I felt I was there, like I was in this creepy weird carnival where things happen at night rather than day, and the brisk cold night that makes you think of fall. Ugh, that was great for the fall vibe. This book is about, like I just said, a carnival. It's about these two sisters that want to attend this really elusive carnival, and one of the sisters gets kidnapped by the ringmaster, so the other sister is trying to find her, and the whole quest is a game trying to find her with clues and carnival aspect of that. Like I said, I didn't love this book, but the writing was so atmospheric. Like I felt like I was there in this carnival world, and it's such a perfect fall read because it's kind of like that dark, spooky carnival vibe, but it's not scary at all. Next up, we have Three Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake. This book, oh, so perfect for fall. I read this in October of last year, and I loved it so much. It was just such a fall vibe because it's such a rich fantasy world. Like I said, I kind of like fantasy in fall. It's all about three triplets, three sisters that were born, and they're separated at birth because each generation there's triplets that are born, and each of them has powers. One of them has the power to be able to ingest any poison. One of them has the gift of nature where she can make things grow, and she's really familiar with animals, and the other one has a gift with elements, with like wind, fire, and all that. These three sisters, like I said, were separated and have all these powers. They're separated because at the age of 16 they come together, and it's pretty much a fight to the death. Whoever's last standing will be the new queen. This book is set in a matriarchal world where women rule, which is amazing, and it's definitely very dark and eerie, I would say. Oh, so amazing. Perfect for fall in that regard. Like, you have these sisters that are vying for this crown, and they have to kill their other sisters, and it's just perfect for fall. I mean, look at this cover. It just is like so fallish. I would highly recommend this book. The second book is probably already out, not by the time I'm filming this, so I'm already read it, or I'm reading it currently. But either way, I adored this book so freaking much. Perfect fall read. Then we have This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. If you're looking for a gritty, dark book, a lot of these I've mentioned are gritty, dark books, but I would say Six of Crows and this one are your darkest and grittiest ones. Actually, I would say this one is your dark and grittiest one. Pick this book up. Book, we have monsters that really rule the city of Verity, and monsters are actually bred from violence. So this whole city of Verity is controlled by these monsters. We have two different sides of Verity. One is kind of, they're both doing separate things, but they're kind of at war with each other, and we follow a human that kind of wants to be a monster and a monster that wants to be a human. There's also no romance in this series, which I should recommend because YA is quite saturated with romance. This book, in particular, this one. The second one has a tiny bit of romance, but not a ton. Definitely wins the award for darkest and grittiest book. Like, it's just so gritty, and I love it so much. The writing style, Victoria Schwab's writing is just perfect to read in fall. Honestly, pick any one of her books and it is great to read in fall. Speaking of Victoria Schwab, I also want to recommend to you her other series, A Darker Shade of Magic. This is obviously the second book, A Gathering of Shadows. The first one's being lent out. In this book, we have this beautiful, rich fantasy world where we follow this main character, Kel, and Kel is an Antari, and he can travel through parallel London. So there are like 4 different Londons. He hails from Red London, where the magic flows really, really great. There's also Black London, which is like kind of non-existent. There is White London, which is the magic is pretty much gone from that place. We have also, I think, Grey London is just our London pretty much with no magic at all. He is the only one that can travel through these Londons, and he's pretty much correspondence to all these kingdoms and things like that. So he delivers messages and he gets sent up and then he gets quickly swept up in trouble, and that's what it's all about. It is this beautiful fantasy world. I love this series. Another great character-driven book. I wouldn't say it's as character-driven as Six of Crows, but it's kind of there. But either way, this is perfect to read in fall. I want to say it takes place in fall. Yeah, he's usually wearing a coat at all times, so I mean, that's fallish, right? Either way, amazing book to read during the fall. And the last book I want to recommend to you for my fall reads video is The Young Elites by Marie Lu. This is the first book in a trilogy, and I really enjoyed this trilogy. I say it's great for fall because it's all about like kind of a villain's origins, or you get to see how a villain becomes a villain, or does she really? This is all about a character that is very conflicted on what she does and how she feels. Sometimes she feels that she does the right thing, and then sometimes she feels she does the wrong thing, and she's completely okay with doing the wrong thing. In this book we have characters that were kind of marked by this deadly blood fever that happened years ago, and they were left with kind of powers, and they're frowned upon in society. So we follow this main character who has one of these powers, and she joins this group of other people that have the powers, and quickly it's all about her. It's like a villainous story, if you will, of the origins of becoming a villain, which I think it's perfect to read for fall because, I mean, fall makes you think of kind of villainous stories, and this is just a great one. And it's very dark, very gritty because you're reading about the origins of a villain. Like, can't get grittier than that. Anyway, those are my fall reads that I would recommend that you read. I hope you guys enjoyed this and this list wasn't too boring and stuff. I was very conflicted on this list because I was like, are these dark enough? Are these atmospheric enough? I don't know, you have to let me know, but these are personally books that I love to read in the fall. Like, as soon as fall hits, I kind of don't want to read much contemporary. I just want to read kind of spooky things, atmospheric things, and things of that nature. And then when Christmas hits, I want to read about Christmas stories. And then when January hits, I kind of go back to my, you know, dark, booty stories. I'm very much a seasonal reader, that is for sure, and I am 100% okay with that. Hope you guys enjoyed my selections and I hope you got something out of it. If you have any favorite dark atmospheric reads, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.